Let's be honest, for a long time, the Project Management Office, or PMO, kinda had a bad rap, right? It was seen as this bureaucratic hurdle, way more focused on rules than on actual results. But what if that whole idea is just completely outdated? Today, we're gonna dig into the huge evolution of the PMO and see how it's transformed from a simple support function into a legit strategic asset that can actually drive an entire company forward. So, what's at the heart of this big change? It's a fundamental shift in focus. You see, the old school PMO was all about being process-centric. It was obsessed with standardizing tools and making sure everyone followed the rules. But the modern PMO, it's customer-centric. The goal isn't just about compliance anymore. It's about delivering real, tangible value to its customers. You know, the stakeholders, the project teams, the executives. It is a complete and total game changer. All right, here's a quick look at what we're going to cover. First, we'll unpack the PMO's changing role. Then, we're going to bust two major myths, the idea of the process police and the search for a so-called perfect model. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at what it really takes to build a mature, high-impact PMO that actually gets things done. Okay, let's dive right in with the evolving PMO. And look, we're not talking about a minor tweak here. This is a complete reimagining of its entire purpose. In today's world, a PMO that just checks boxes isn't going to cut it. To survive and really thrive, it has to become a central strategic part of the organization.
So the new expectation is crystal clear. It is no longer enough for a PMO to just help projects get across the finish line. A modern PMO has to connect what it does directly to the company's biggest, most important goals. Why? To make sure that every single project, every bit of effort, is making the biggest possible impact.
All right, it's time to tackle our first big myth. For so many years, the PMO is stuck with this nickname, the process police. You know the vibe, this rigid, top-down group that was way more about enforcement than actually helping people out. And in the real world, what did that look like? Well, it meant the PMO was all about standardizing everything. It was enforcing compliance, handing out project templates, and really only measuring success by things you could count. It was a world of checklists and control, which, let's face it, usually just created friction and slowed down the very teams it was supposed to be helping. But the reality today, it couldn't be more different. The modern PMO has grown up into a true strategic partner, and it brings a whole new kind of value to the table. So instead of policing, a modern PMO is busy enabling strategy and driving value across the whole company. It helps strengthen the organization's skills, it encourages teams to share knowledge, and it beefs up risk management. It's proactive, not reactive. It's about building people up, not just making them follow the rules.
This quote really just nails it. The PMO is a business partner that helps the organization prioritize the right work, deliver it effectively, and continuously improve how value is realized. Think about that. It's not just about doing projects right anymore, it's about doing the right projects. And that right there is a massive difference.
And this value, well, it really has two sides. On one hand, you've got the actual value, the hard numbers, cost savings, faster delivery. But just as important is the perceived value. This is the stuff like better collaboration, more transparency, and maybe most importantly, building confidence with your stakeholders. A great PMO absolutely has to deliver on both.
Okay, on to our second huge myth. This idea that there's some perfect PMO model out there. A one-size-fits-all solution that you can just copy and paste into any company.
As this quote says, that kind of thinking is fundamentally flawed. And why is that? Well, it completely ignores the most important thing about a PMO. It has to fit your unique organization. Every company has a different culture, different goals, different problems. So how could one single model ever work for everyone? It just can't. The real danger here is that companies get caught in this trap of just chasing trends. They'll try a directive PMO, and when that doesn't work, they'll jump on the agile PMO bandwagon. This constant switching around just leads to a PMO that's totally out of sync with what the business actually needs. And that just destroys its credibility.
So if there's no perfect model, what's the answer? It's a custom-fit solution. The most successful PMOs aren't pulled out of a textbook. They are built from the ground up to be unique, using a key idea called hybridization.
Hybridization is the magic word here. It's basically the art of mixing and matching. Think of all the established PMO models out there, supportive, agile, directive, not as rigid rules, but as a palette of options. Hybridization means you get to pick and choose the specific features that will actually solve your company's unique challenges.
And you can actually break this down into 4 pretty clear steps. First, you've got to analyze your organization's real needs. Second, look at all the different models out there, but see them as a menu of options, not a strict recipe. Third, start blending the characteristics that make sense for you. And finally, build your own unique structure, one that's flexible and totally in tune with its surroundings.
And that brings us to our final section, building PMO maturity. Because once you've built this custom-fit solution, you're not done. This is how a PMO goes from just having good practices to becoming that essential, indispensable strategic asset we've been talking about.
So what does a mature PMO look like? Well, its culture is perfectly aligned with the company's values. Its mandate is laser-focused on delivering real, measurable business value. Its structure isn't just bolted on, it's seamlessly woven into the fabric of the organization. And its services, they are relentlessly customer-centric, tailored to what stakeholders really need to win.
So, we'll leave you with this question to chew on. When you look at your own organization, is your PMO seen as just another support function, or has it evolved into an essential, must-have enabler of the company's success? The answer to that question tells you exactly how far it's come on the journey from process police to strategic partner.